I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos. All right, greetings out there all across this great land of ours and around the world. It's that time once again for the Conservative Syndicate. I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are here to do what we do best, and that is to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. Glad to have you with us today. We have kind of a little bit different type of interview lined up for you today. Some of you may grasp right off the top here where we're going to go. Some of you may actually get bored and not want to listen to what we got to talk about anyway. And some of you may be upset by what we say. So it's going to be an interesting first hour here with us. We're going to have Dennis Morrison, author of the book Last Days Ultimate Christian Prepper. And one of the reasons I wanted to have Dennis on here today was to give those of you who think you're Christians the opportunity to understand that should the tribulation come and you find yourself still here, that should be an indicator you missed the boat somewhere. You missed it. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it, and it will be a little bit of a lecture or demonstration or education in biblical prophecy regarding the last days, the rapture of the church, the tribulation that is to follow, the 1,000-year millennial reign of Jesus Christ, and of course the end times themselves, the judgment, and the fiery pit of hell. A lot of people don't think there is a hell. A lot of people think we're already living in hell, but I can guarantee you, I bet you it's a lot worse than it is now. So, and we're going to talk about that today. And then the second hour, we're going to devote to the calamity out there, the comedy. I'm telling you, Saturday Night Live couldn't write scripts as good as what we're seeing right now out there in media land, and regarding the allegations of Russian quote-unquote hacking and a dossier that has materialized out of thin air. Actually, it's been laying around for a while, but somebody decided, you know what, we haven't been able to take Trump down the normal way, so let's get into the Harry Reid style, which is let's just post as many lies as we can out there. And so what if they're lies? If they accomplish our goal and delegitimize our president, that's okay, because it's all about protecting Obama's legacy anyway. And we have heard thing about what was going on, but then it's not really hard to tell. It's not really hard to talk about what he talked about on Tuesday night, because it's the same thing he's been talking about for 8 years. In the first couple of years, it was what he was going to do. In the last 6 years, it's everything that he's done and how much better off he's made the world and the country, because he, the Messiah, the anointed one, the immaculated one, has been out there doing his job in spite of all the resistance and opposition to him. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. I want to get Joe on here. Joe, how are you doing today?
Prepared. No, I'm good, John.
I caught
Still
that.
Prepared, but I'm good, man.
Well,
unlike our guest, I don't think time is running out today.
Yeah, well, I enjoy this topic, and when I was going to Bible college, this is what I majored in: eschatology, understanding the end times. Because where a lot of people in ministry, where I went to college at, people are into using the prosperity message and the healing message and, all the positive fringe benefits of being a Christian to bring people into the kingdom of God. I was one of these people that, after sitting through a 12-week course with a gentleman named Ray Comfort, a lot of people may not know who he is, but this guy is a converted Jew outdoor evangelist, meaning he still walks the streets and evangelizes. But some of you may know him because he has joined forces with Cameron. What's his name? Cameron. The guy that I can't remember his name. Guy from Family Ties or something, or Family. One of the comedies from years ago. Kirk Cameron. That's his name. Kirk Cameron.
Cameron. Yeah.
And they have teamed up to produce some excellent documentaries about Christianity. And I think the most recent one that I really like was a documentary called Monumental. And it was about the history of the Pilgrims and the foundation on which our country was established and the reason why the Pilgrims came here. And that was to escape religious persecution by the Church of England. And in their initial documents, the Mayflower Compact and other documents that they originated from when they got over here, stated emphatically that the reason they came to this country was so that they could advance the gospel of the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
So I like that. And in Mr. Morrison's defense, I can agree with him on this one, and I'm thinking you will as well. Just from his book, The Great Commission, we are to go to the outermost parts of the earth and spread the gospel. We must not stop at the steps of the Capitol, but go into the very halls of our government. We must push back against the nonsense of separation of church and state. So
yes.
There you go.
Yeah, he's very, very adamant about it. There's a lot of his views that I am in agreement with, but what we'll probably talk more about today is where we kind of see through a different prism in terms of what the last days entail and more importantly, who's going to be involved in it. That's what it's about. So we'll have him on here. But just a quick comment here. Like I said, Barack Obama used his last farewell speech in front of the nation the other night to do nothing.
I thought that was the State of the Union address.
Yeah, and it was his probably every speech he's given since his first State of the Union address, or at least the second State of the Union address.
I'm serious there, because when I looked on the on the channel guide, that's what it said. That's what it was.
Well, yeah. In fact, he even joked about it just being a shorter speech of the same things that he's been saying. But he was still very condescending towards those who have opposed him.
You lie!
Yeah, he's just, the way that they wrote it in the Blaze, Buck Sexton over at the Blaze said, despite fleeting moments of self-reflection, he maintained a haughty and dismissive air towards those with whom he disagrees.
Yeah, go figure. Hey, nothing's changed. Yeah, well, how arrogant, because, State of the Union address is normally given a joint session of Congress. The House invites all of the Senate to come on in because it's a bigger room, and, the Supreme Court justices and all that stuff, the Joint Chiefs and all that. Mm-hmm. So were they all there too? I don't recall those guys being there.
No, he was in Chicago, sitting outside of some mall type environment. The crowds were all over the place, and
what I saw pictures of the presidential seal looked just a bit smaller than his ego.
Yeah. Well, the pictures I saw, they still. Remember in the beginning they had pictures of him where they had some kind of little aura of light behind him.
Yes.
And if you looked at it right, I saw a lot of pictures that was kind of similar to that. You had that little circular aura light behind him, as he dabbed his face with tears, and Michelle cried, "No more taxpayer vacations," that kind of stuff. So it was, but the point being is that very little news on this at all, very little coverage on it at all, because Of course, Trump stole the limelight again. Trump held a press conference the day after that, and nobody gives a damn about Barack Obama anymore. It's all about Trump and his hatred for the media. So.
Well, his hatred for at least BuzzFeed and CNN.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to get to that. We got to go to commercial. When we come back, we should have Dennis Morrison with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We're not arguing, we're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Okay, hey, we're back, and once again, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We know there's a lot of other things you could be doing out there, but nothing more instructive and constructive than taking time to listen to our show, because we do our best here to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, as to the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And we've got with us right now Dennis Morrison, author of the book Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper. And I met Dennis, I guess 2, maybe 3 years ago. I'm really had a hard time placing him, because as I get older here, I have more and more senior moments. And I don't always remember everybody that I meet over the course of the last 10 years that I've been doing this show. But I went and had coffee with Dennis a couple weeks ago, and we sat down, and he reminded me and refreshed my memory when we first met. He was I think very close to one of the first people we had when we were over at Puka Shell Studios down there in Garden Grove. Anyway, Dennis wrote a book called 180, and it was a plan for Christians to basically kind of move the country back towards the Christian ideology and theology that we were established on. And now he's written a book called The Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper. Now, as I said before the show, at the beginning of the show, some of you may not have any idea. In fact, I would imagine many Christians listening may not have a real clear concept of what we're going to be talking about right now, because that's not what the church teaches anymore. A lot of the church, all they want to do is, you're a Christian, and now it's time to just kick back and wait for God to bless you with everything. And that's very far from the truth. We've been commissioned by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to do something. And if you're waiting for God to save the world absent your participation, then you're heading down the wrong trail. And that's why this book may be useful to you when the time comes. So having said that, let me get him on here. Dennis, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, John, and yourself?
All right. So I want to try to lay a foundation here before we get into the content of your book and what you're trying to explain here. We're dealing specifically with your book, from what I've read of it so far, as to what people need to be looking at today in terms of what's going to come down the road here as the persecution against the church begins to grow. And we know that it is taking place right now. But there's differences in church doctrine in terms of when certain events are supposed to take place and what these events cause, what they set into motion. And I'd like to, I guess, maybe start the interview here with you explaining to me, where do you stand on the concept of the millennial reign? Because I think that's what everything revolves around in terms of the schism in the church today, as far as the rapture of the church, the 1,000-year reign of Christ, the judgment of Satan, and everything else. And I picked out 4 of the basic ones. There's many out there, but the premillennial, historical, premillennial, postmillennial, and amillennial. And could you explain to our listeners, where do you fall within that category?
Well, when you read the Bible, there's a lot of people that say it's premillennial, mid, or in post-tribulation period. And there's good arguments on all of those. I stand with a premillennial stance, because when I look at the Bible and I apply hermeneutics, which is the science of interpreting the Bible, first usage, I look at Noah, and when God had all the animals go into the ark, and God sealed up the ark. Then came the tribulation, or the rain, and Noah was lifted above it. And if you go to Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot was there. They took Lot out. Once Lot was out, then came the tribulation. So I believe God will take the church out in the rapture first, and then come the tribulation period. But my stance is always to be an eye to the sky and be ready at any time, regardless, because you can't put God in a box. So I just believe in being ready at any time, being prepared.
Okay, now, along with that line of thinking, because in that regard we agree, but you made a statement to me when we were talking, and it's kind of been the thought that has really stuck in my mind, which means I look at those type of things as an impression, something that I should follow through with. the idea that after the rapture, that there will be Christians still left here on earth. Can you explain how, because that's where you and I would basically have a major difference of opinion. I don't think there will be any real Christians, there won't be any Christians left when the church raptures.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Left Behind series, they always talk about people being left behind and there's no hope. But if you look at the in the Bible, what is it, in Revelation, book of Revelation, they talk about the saints that that went through that tribulation period, and they all had to die for Christ. So my personal opinion, on each one of my books, Operation 180, The Action Plan, and Last Days Ultimate Christian, is a hourglass. The time's running out, and God will come back. So all of us need to be ready and waiting for that soon second coming. I think that being prepared for that is the most important thing we can do. But once that rapture comes out, they're going to take the Christians out, and they're going to take the Holy Spirit's coming out. The people that are left behind, they might have been working in the church, and they might have been doing all kinds of things and knowing the truth, but they've never really walked in the truth. They've never done things in love. And so I believe at this point in time, they go, oh my gosh, it's real. The rapture is real. God's real. I need to get my stuff together. I can't take the mark of the beast, and I've got to do this right. So that's when they get serious, and those that endure to the end, as it says, will be saved. And so they will have to go through this just with their Bibles and with the knowledge that they've had, and maybe fellowship with one another when they find other people that are in the same boat, and just endure it and die for Christ.
Okay. I would agree with that, because I do agree that when the church is raptured, there are going to be a lot of people in the church that are going to be looking around going, wait a minute, something's wrong here. I refer to them as the pseudo-Christians, or maybe the Bible word for them would be the tares amongst the wheat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page there. So that
you and I are on the same page, John.
Okay. All right. Because this is a very, just from a personal perspective, this is a very sticky thing with me, because this is my big gripe against the church. I happen to believe that there are probably more false converts in the church today than real converts, and many of them walking around, sheep in wolves' clothing kind of thing. Many of them pastors, for that matter. So I'm really a stickler on this aspect of it. So now, if you can, let's get into the some of the content that you're talking about here. As I explained to you when I had you come on here, I wasn't so. I'm not so into the nuts and bolts of what people have to actually prepare for. But I do want to ask you, because you do mention in your book about the mark of the beast, and this is another topic, an issue that's up for debate within the church and without the church, outside of the church. How do you, or what do you think the mark of the beast is actually going to look like? Is it going to be the 666 on the forehead, or are we going to have implants in our brain, or things under the skin that you scan, or whatever? Do you have any thoughts? Have you given any thought as to how that's going to actually take place?
Well, we do have already chips for dogs to find them and those type of things. I have spoken to some people that have been working on a project for the government, and evidently it is some type of a chip or some type of thing, and it's onto the bone, actually down into the bone, and it would be some type of a computer chip. I don't really know. I mean, I'm not a computer guy, so I can't really tell you there. But it will be the greatest thing that man has ever done. That's how they'll tout it. And they'll say, look, you don't have to lose your wallet, you don't lose your money, everything's right here. And they're going, oh my gosh, this is great. And you won't need passports, because number one, at that point when they do the global situation, there won't be countries, so there won't be borders. But they'll tell you where you were born, they'll tell you your age and your finances and any investments you have. Everything will be there for you. Your race, height, weight, all your medical records, it will be just unbelievable. But it's controlled by man, and God said we don't want that. So I believe it will be some type of a chip, computer chip, because they're making them smaller and smaller with greater amount of data. It will have everything you need, and they're making the scanners right now, so they will literally scan your hand. If you don't have a hand, a right hand, they'll put it on your forehead. And that's how they'll determine who you are. And the lines in the airports will be very short because they'll know exactly who you are as you're walking up.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I kind of envision that too, but I think that's a little bit way off in the future. Just right now, because of the fact we've got people in our country alone that want to open up borders and just want to let anybody in without any identification and vetting. So, they're going to have to go through that progressive screening to stop that kind of stuff. But I can see where that'll be the selling point. The collective ideal is that everybody is identified and everybody is grouped and labeled and that we know who they are. So you're telling me then that your book basically is going to be written for those who are left here after the rapture and choose not to engage in this process of what the Bible refers to as the mark of the beast. Am I correct?
Well, the book is written for believers now and helps us all get ready to meet our Lord and be ready. What happens, I believe, in our society is we have what's called information overload and also sensory overload. We are plugged in, dialed in. We're either emailing, tweeting, whatever we're doing. We're on our phones. We have, the new thing we put on virtual reality. We have television where you've got football 24/7, the sports package, and there's reality TV. There is so much going on that we end up crowding God out of our lives. And there's just too many games, Xbox, PlayStation, and you name it. And so this is the thing where we have to get back and put God in our life and make him a priority. Because God's a jealous God, and he's not going to stand in line waiting for you to pray to him or seek him when you're finally hurting. So these are the things where I'm saying this is where we've got to go now, and us as Christians can prepare for those who are left behind by leaving survival food, by leaving a Bible with a note on it saying, look, I know you've just broken into my house, go ahead and eat and drink because we no longer need it, but this is your roadmap to salvation. This is the greatest book ever written. There's no other name under heaven by which you can be saved but Jesus, so now is the time. And this is where we all have to begin to focus that the time is running out, God's coming back, and those of you that are still playing with it will probably be left, and this is where we can help them. So it is for us right now, but it's also for those that are left behind.
Well, one of the things that really, the recent development in technology here that is really kind of, I find interesting and also very scary right now is the concept of virtual reality. Joe was telling me about his wife got him one of those 3D things. 3D, what was it? What are they called, Joe?
They're VR goggles.
Yeah, and I guess you put them over your cell phone, and then you can put the cell phone up to your face. Is that the deal?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he was telling me just how literally realistic they are. Like you can actually get motion sickness from them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're susceptible to that could happen to you. Yes. And
I find that intriguing, but I also find it kind of scary because back 40 years ago there was science fiction talked about this kind of stuff, and it's come to reality. But it also, I think, opens the door to allow that deception to come in, that they can manufacture stuff. I just saw something the other day. They've got the first hologram computers out there now. So these are things that I think are just significantly scary in my mind. We got to go to a break here. We've got Dennis Morrison, author of the book Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper. We'll continue our discussion with him when we get back here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us today in our first segment of this hour, Dennis Morrison, author of the book Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper, a book about how to prepare for the tribulation to come. And as we explained in the first segment here, I think there's going to be probably, my estimation here, it might just be my cynicism or my pessimism, that we may find just a lot of the church will be left here behind when the rapture comes. I think there's a lot of people that have been very deceived as to what salvation is. There is the salvation experience, and then there is the salvation process. And the process is explained in Philippians, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. And I don't think there's a whole lot of fear and trembling going on in the church today. That's just my view after spending 20 years in ministry and around a lot of different types of pastors and ministers and doing a lot out there in the field. So I just my perception of things. Dennis, what I wanted to do here, because we're talking about a timeline, literally a timeline. There are certain things that are supposed to happen that lead to other certain things, which lead to the eventual rapture of the church, and then the tribulation of those left behind, and then the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ, and then the end of the age where everything is judged, and we all enter into eternity, either in the smoking section or the non-smoking section, depending on where we're going here. And I wanted to get your take on this. I know when we talk about this kind of stuff, we're really speculating because, as you said earlier, we don't really know the mind of God, and Jesus tells us nobody knows the day, so we can only speculate and opinionate what we see based on the signs that Jesus spoke to us about. And I'm looking at Matthew 24 right now. And I'm a firm believer based on what I read in there and what I've read in Revelations and in the book of Daniel, Thessalonians. So, all the different scriptures that tie together give us the idea of what's happening here. That we're somewhere between the beginning of sorrows, is what Jesus refers to, and kind of we're entering into a certain age of tribulation for the church, a persecution of the church, if not tribulation. And I'm kind of in there. Jesus said that there'll be wars and rumors of wars. These things have to happen. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There'll be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. And these are the beginning of sorrows. Then he goes on to say right after that, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake, which he obviously is talking to believers there because he's talking to his disciples. He says, you will be delivered up, and there will be tribulation for you, and they will kill you, and you will be hated for my name's sake. And that seems, in my opinion, pretty much where we are right now. Can you concur with that, or do you have a different view?
No, I concur with that. Before we get into that, I just wanted to clarify something that I said earlier about all these games and things that we do. I don't want people to think that if they go to the movies or I go to a football game or they watch football games that it's sin. God wants us to enjoy this life. That being said, not to crowd God out. So I want to just clarify that statement. As far as where we're at in timeline, we were in the last days, right there with the apostles. He said, these are the last days. It's like they're being numbered out. But when he says, when Israel became a nation again, that generation will not pass away. So that was 1948. So we live about 120 years at the most. So within that time frame, I believe God will come back. I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking somewhere around 10, 20, 30 years from now, someplace in there. That's just but we don't know. And I think if we started looking at what was happening during the Obama administration, it gave us a kind of a clear eye as to what was going on. He began with his liberal agenda and taking away the freedoms little by little by little. First, you can't pray in the almighty name of Jesus. I mean, Allah's okay, but you can't do it in Jesus' name. And that was like, oh my gosh. And when you have big events that the church should be outraged, like gay marriage or abortion on demand, everything's okay, and the church doesn't speak out. I mean, that should be something that the church should be saying, you know what, we have to speak out, this is too important, God is important, He's the supreme judge of our lives. And when Obama, at the State of the Union address, said, whatever we once were, we're no longer a Christian nation, I mean, I wanted to cry, because no one came out. No one said anything. It was just like as if it didn't happen. And so here we are, a Christian nation founded on Christian principles, and no one said a thing about that. And that's one of the things that just gets me in my heart. And so that's when I'm going, oh my gosh, you know what? Maybe we aren't a Christian nation. Maybe we aren't giving ourselves to Christ, and we don't know the importance of being Christian. And that's the thing that has to start getting into our hearts. We have to start saying, you know what? God is more important than anything. And we can't allow that to stand. We have to say something. You know, there's been, as far as abortion, there's been over 63 million abortions since Roe v. Wade. That's about the population of Texas and California combined. I mean, that's ludicrous. That we should be outraged at all of this, but we're not. And that's why I'm saying, we don't take our Christianity seriously. We don't value it, and that's where I think that we need to change our tune.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree completely with your assessment there. You know, there's things that we can look at right now. Again, I'm looking at Matthew 24, and we see Jesus talking about the abomination of desolation, which means basically the Antichrist is here. Jerusalem is taken over. Jerusalem becomes the center of rule and everything else. And I kind of look at the premillennial concept of the 7 years, 3.5 years of what we call tribulation, and then the second 3.5 years as the Great Tribulation. And somewhere in there, in my opinion, just my opinion, that's where the rapture takes place, is that there's this idea. And so I think we're kind of tiptoeing into a period of tribulation because of the fact that we see, it says later on in Matthew 24 here that it'll be like the days of Noah, that they will just marry the way they want to. They will be given in marriage. And they'll, we talk about the homosexual agenda. There's a perfect example, I think, of what Jesus was alluding to, that marriage no longer is an institution established by God. It is an institution that man uses to for his own pleasure, that kind of thing. And so I see us kind of dabbling into these little descriptions, and I'm like, we've got to be very close, if not in the initial process or the beginning of the tribulation or persecution of the church. I'm not real sure, because I'm not God, but that's just what I see here based on what I see going on, the signs around us. And I'm thinking, and now the attacks against Israel. I mean, if one thing the Obama administration brought to the forefront, it was the left's hatred for Israel. And Obama having the roots that he has in the Muslim community and having been brought up, if not a Muslim, at least within Muslim thinking, that there's kind of this idea that, people have referred to Obama as the Antichrist. I don't think he's the Antichrist, but I think he carries the spirit of the Antichrist, which is the idea of that Israel must be must be destroyed if we're going to have world peace. I mean, that's the argument. Israel is really the problem. And America is a problem because we're allies with Israel. But Israel is the target. Am I on the mark there?
You are on the mark. I mean, these are all telltale signs. Even with Obama and all the liberals, the progressives, and all that we have that have been in our country, they have moved us to a point where you talk about the persecution of the church. The Middle East has gone through the greatest persecution of the church in modern times. And here in Christian land, in America, I mean, what they've done is corralled us. And they said, well, we're no longer just as a Christian marriage. It's no longer just, God's involved. No longer is it in Jesus' name. And no longer, and all of a sudden, we're being corralled and we can't speak up. Otherwise, we lose our 501c3 nonprofit status in the churches. It just got to a point, and all I can say is thank God he gave us a reprieve with Trump. And we have a chance now with Mike Pence, who is a born-again believer, to move this agenda back and give us a fresh start, give us a fresh perspective, reintroduce our Christian faith into the country and into our lives again. It's super important. I just think that's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, I agree here. Now we got to go to a break. When we come back here, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put you on the spot intentionally because one of the things you state in your book is that Donald Trump is a Christian, and I adamantly disagree with that. So I want you to give a defense for Donald Trump, and then I'll explain to you why I don't believe that, why he might be representative of those who are left behind. And so we've got Dennis Morrison here with us, author of the book Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them the potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got with us Dennis Morrison, author of the book Last Days, Ultimate Christian Prepper. And before I put Dennis on the hot seat a little bit here, I know Joe's got something he wants to say here. I think a very important point about confusing the church and the leadership, some of the leadership in the church that doesn't properly represent what the church is about. Joe, you want to expound on that?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of those that are in the church, quote unquote, that don't go along with the church leadership, whether what denomination you are, i.e. the Pope or anything else, these Lutherans and whatever that else you have, the Protestants, whatever. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that definitely think abortion is a sin and should be just taken away and taken off the books and not be allowed to happen at all. And that's just one example. And all these other examples of homosexual marriages and all this kind of stuff, they're just not screaming and hollering from every rooftop about it because, for one thing, they're being largely ignored by these leadership and by the small groups that scream and holler that they want to be included in all the fun that we have as Christians. And so they want all the fun we have as Christians, but they don't want to pay the price for it. And again, and the other thing I want to mention is beware of these false prophets.
Yes.
And we've got plenty of those out there.
Yeah. Dennis, I'd like you to with what Joe just said here, give you an opportunity here just to speak to those in the church that Joe just identified. There are many in the church who understand that there's deception out there, that they understand that the things that they're being told by the world and by government and everything else is not proper, is not true, is not in line with God's word and God's terms and conditions, but they have chosen to remain silent and complicit. What would you say to somebody like that?
I think Joe is spot on. I think, it's like there are people that have liberal views, and somehow they get on the boards of some of these churches, and then they go, my son's gay, my daughter's gay, my cousin's gay, and so, mine too. I think it's okay, and all of a sudden they change the whole edict of the church. And I think it's incumbent upon each of us as a Christian to read scriptures and to know the Word and to have Bible studies and to really research it, because the onus is on us. When we get before the judgment seat of Christ, it's going to be between us. It's not anybody else. And he's going, what do you know? And he's going to talk to us, and our judgment is going to be determined based on that. So I think, the more we know, the more we read, the more we study, the better off we'll be. And if we just listen to our pastors and they're teaching off the Word, you have to confront them. And I had to do that with one of my pastors, sadly. So when they're teaching off, they're teaching off. Got to call them on it. So I think he's right on the money.
Yeah, now here's the hardball question, or the hardball version of this question. A Christian who knows the truth and chooses to remain complicit and silent, do they make the rapture or do they remain here?
That's really a call for God. I think if you know the truth and you don't walk in it, you'll probably be left and have to walk through the tribulation on your own. That's my humble opinion. I think if you know the truth and don't do it, that's sin. And I think someone that is living in sin like that, they're not really saved. They'll have to go through the tribulation. It's hard to say, but that's how I read the scriptures. If you sin now and again, that's what people do. That's fine. But I'm not saying it's fine, and I'm approving it. I'm saying that's what happens in life. But if you are living in sin, practicing sin, then you're not really born again, and God won't accept that. I think if there's a scripture, I have to go look up the exact thing. But
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably why I am so adamant when I'm amongst people in the church. Certainly there is the wheat amongst the chaff. Certainly there are the deceived. There are those who are ignorant willfully, and there are those that are ignorant just because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. But when I talk to people in the church, I'm looking at people that have told me, if you're sitting in the office of a pastor, you should know, and you should be able to discern what the truth is, and to remain silent and complicit about it is a dereliction of duty. And when I run into people like that, I just ask them, why are you a pastor? You do not fit the definition of what a pastor is supposed to be. You're not a shepherd. You're just somebody standing at the front. Maybe you're the only guy that reads the Bible, and therefore you're leading the group. That doesn't mean that you are the one anointed and appointed by God to be the one leading the sheep, because we as teachers are going to be held to a stricter judgment according to the Bible. And so therefore, you got to really be on the mark. Now, I want to progress here because we're running out of time here, and I want to give you the opportunity. In your book, you make a statement about the American people being tired of having liberal policies shoved down their throat. And you then follow that statement up by saying, now that we have a new Christian president, vice president, and a majority in Congress and the Senate, we should be on our knees in prayer. We should be writing letters and doing everything within our power to help move our Christian agenda forward. Donald Trump, in my opinion, is not a Christian. First of all, he has never acknowledged that he's done anything wrong. I've heard him in public say he's a good guy. He hasn't done anything bad. And that, to me, is the first definition of somebody who's not a Christian. He can't even acknowledge that he's done things that are bad. He doesn't know the Bible at all. He has tried to paraphrase things and gotten it completely wrong. So I'd like you to defend Donald Trump for me and explain to me why you think he's a Christian. I buy Mike Pence as one. I just don't buy Donald Trump as one.
Mike Pence is a born-again believer as strong as you get. As far as Donald Trump, I heard that same interview where, the guy was asking him, he says, have you repented for your sins? He goes, I don't have any sins to repent for, which made me laugh. And so I recognized at that point he was not a born-again believer. And then he went to, when he was trying to become president, went to the evangelicals for their vote, and he was saying, I was reading in 2 Corinthians, it's 2 Corinthians, and so I know that he doesn't really read, he doesn't really know, but then there was a time just recently where it wasn't James Dobson, but somebody he knew led him to the Lord, and he accepted the Lord. I believe that while he's in the company of Mike Pence, Mike will be sharing the Lord with him probably daily, if not more, hourly. And I think that there's, Kim Clement did a prophecy in 2007 that said Donald Trump will be president, and he will come in not being like a believer, but kind of going through that, and he will be a praying president, and he will pray all the way through. Now, it didn't really say he was a Christian, but I believe that he's moving in that direction. He's a strong conservative.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I hate to interrupt you. We're running out of time. I wanted to give you a moment to promote the book. Let people know how they can get along with it, get a hold of it.
Well, you can get it through Amazon, and you can also go to my website, which is DennisDMorrison.com, and it's available there. And you can see some of my speeches and things that I've done on that website. And it's a great book. It's one you want to have in your library for the last days. It really helps you grow, and it helps us connect with other believers in the last days, which we need to do. If we don't come together, we will be knocked off one by one. So together we're powerful in these last days.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis, for coming on. We'll have you back here. I'm sorry we didn't get everything we wanted to do today, but thanks so much for coming on. We'll put the website link up there to get to the book. Dennis Morrison, author of the book, The Ultimate Christian Prepper for the Last Days. Thank you so much. We got to go to a commercial here. Top of the hour here. Edward's Notebook. We'll pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Thank you, John Joe.
If a group of black Chicago thugs beat up and torture a white guy who supports Donald Trump, who in their right mind gives a rip if the thugs hated their victim or not? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the last time I checked, you, myself, and every other American have unalienable rights, which include the right to choose who to support for President of the United States. Our unalienable rights come from God and cannot be obstructed by an abusive government or knuckle-dragging thugs. You have a right to live for your own sake, not according to the will of criminals in or outside of government. It was unbelievable to learn that Chicago law enforcement officials struggled to charge the thugs because they couldn't discern if it was a hate crime.
Hate crime! Hate crime! Hate crime!
Well, who cares? How about assault and battery for starters? The thugs even had a female cheerleader who recorded those imitators of vicious chimpanzees. I don't care if those black thugs hated their white victim or not. Throw the bums in jail for a long, long time and let them sort out how they feel for decades behind bars. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos. Okay, hey, we're back. Excuse me. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and I hope you enjoyed that interview that we just had here with Dennis Morrison. Like I said, a little bit off the mark, what we're normally involved in, but not really. Let's just say a more direct look at some of the things that we imply when we talk about the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And so I just thought it'd be worthy to have Dennis on here. And the conversation I had with him a couple of weeks ago, we were supposed to meet for like 20 minutes. And the idea was to just meet, collaborate on what we were going to do. I wanted to get a copy of his book so I could look at it and make sure I was kind of up to snuff with what he wanted to say. And I think we ended up almost 3.5 hours sitting there just talking, devouring cup of coffee after cup of coffee, just exchanging views and positions and stuff, very much on the same page regarding a lot of what's going on in the church today. So having said that, I want to get into the sacrilegious actions that are going on out there right now in the media. And this is another conglomeration of crap that is just being formulated as they move. It's kind of like the narrative is being designed as they present it. And that is I think this is the last ditch attempt by the media and the left to try as much as possible to delegitimize Donald Trump before he steps into office. And I've got to tell you, if I was in Trump's position right now, I would be making a get even list. I'm telling you, I would. And the very first people at the top of the list would be some of these people in the media. I don't think it's out of whack. I don't think it's out of tradition or anything else. If I was in my first press conference at president would be invite these people in and then pick them out single-handedly in front of the public square and say, you are no longer coming to any of my press conferences. And I would notify these agencies, you send me some real reporters. Don't send me propaganda hacks. And if that reporter happens to be the guy working down in the mailroom right now, that's who I will allow. But I will not allow people like Jake Tapper and some of these other people that are just propagandists and operatives. Obviously, very obviously, are nothing more than operatives for the Democrat Party and the leftist movement here. These people, they try so hard to protect their journalistic integrity when there is no integrity.
Oh, gee, journalistic integrity. This illusion they tried to create that they're trying to be balanced and they have no biases is ridiculous. They come at everything with a bias, and unfortunately for them, the last 8 years with Barack Obama, they've been able to just show it unfettered, their bias. And so now shoes on the other foot, and elections have consequences. And I think this news conference that Trump had the other day, they better wake up because he's not going to tolerate it. He might send out, his press spokesman, but when it comes to Trump doing it, there's going to be a whole nother a sensation going on there.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, I think, extremely interesting here how this thing starts to play out here from this point forward. Basically, yesterday, that news conference Donald Trump held yesterday, for all intents and purposes, he was notifying the press, okay, the gloves are coming off. Where I'm not playing around with you guys, and I think it's about time that somebody did that. And it's way, way overdue. This idea that somehow, just because of who they are, that they're supposed to receive some kind of just inherent respect for the fact. I mean, imagine standing in front of a room full of people that every one of them has a rock in their hand, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to throw it, and you're supposed to be polite to them.
Well, yeah, it's like when Iraqi got up in the middle of a Bush press conference in Iraq and threw the shoe at him.
Yeah. So yeah,
hey, it's basically what the press here wants to do. They come into that press conference going, "We hate Donald Trump."
Yep.
Instead of, you can hate Donald Trump all you want, but that's not what you're hired to do.
Right. Yeah. And you're here to report, not to create. And that's what's happening here. I just pulled up an article here. We got to go to a break here, do our break here, because this is our short segment here. But just this one report that just came out here. This fake dossier that everybody says, including Barack Obama, says is a bunch of garbage, is now Obama and Biden are being briefed on it. Okay.
Gee.
And you got to sit there. Well, this guy, 8 days from now, 7 days from now, this guy isn't even going to be around. What the hell does it matter? That kind of thing. And we'll get into that because this. Anyway, well, yeah, we got to go to break here. If I don't go to the break now, I'll just keep going. So stay with us, guys. Time for Moments of Madness. We'll be right back. Today on Moments of Madness. Just before Christmas, the Alinsky Party of America, also known as the Obama administration, abstained from voting on a UN resolution that demands the halt of settlement activity by Israel on occupied Palestinian territory. This move by the U.S. was unprecedented in that the U.S. has abstained less than 24 times on 226 UN resolutions against Israel since 1948. Those choices to abstain were all resolutions condemning Israel for acts of defense. This resolution was put forward at the 15-member council by New Zealand, Malaysia, Venezuela, and Senegal, a day after Egypt withdrew their support under pressure from Israel and U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Israel and Trump had called on the U.S. to veto the measure. The resolution was adopted with 14 votes in favor to a resounding round of applause. It is the first resolution the Security Council has adopted on Israel and the Palestinians in nearly 8 years. The international community has told the people of Israel that the way to security and peace is not going to be done through occupation, but rather through peace, ending the occupation, and establishing a Palestinian state to live side by side with the state of Israel on the 1967 line, Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat told Reuters news agency. Outraged by conservatives as well as GOP neocons like John McCain and Lindsey Graham were incessantly predictable. The question now being asked, if only rhetorically by the media, is why would Obama do this? And why would he do this now, given his lame duck status amid an incoming Trump administration that will surely undo this as quickly as it was passed? The answer to this and other questions regarding Obama's scorched earth maneuvers in his last days is actually found among another brewing controversy, this one involving Russia. Here's the madness.
In June 2016, Nancy Pelosi trots out the Russian hacking theory now being reported as fact after the DNC is hacked along with the State Department. The DNC emails are leaked and show a conspiracy to make sure Hillary wins the nomination. At that time, everyone claims no one knows for sure, but they think it might be Russia, hence Pelosi's preliminary damage control effort. Little attention is paid to the content of the emails, but rather the alleged source. Then a month before the election, WikiLeaks trots out John Podesta's emails, showing within the Clinton campaign not only conspiracy to make sure Hillary wins, but collusion with the media, including how to manipulate polls, corruption with donors, and even racism, needy Latinos, and a Catholic church spring to change church doctrine. Again, no one has evidence Russia is behind this, only speculation. And again, the content of the leaked emails are secondary to the narrative being advanced Russia is up to no good, and now Trump may be part of it. Then the election comes. Hillary loses. All of a sudden, Obama says he knew of Russian interference in 2015, but chose to remain silent because he figured Hillary would win anyway, so why give ammunition to us right-wing fanatics? In fact, Obama says he has known of Russian interference since 2009. The proper term is spying, by the way, the same thing we do to them. Obama chose to remain silent then also. All of a sudden, everyone agrees it has to be the Russians. Still no evidence, just assessment and speculation. Jay Johnson of the DHS, along with Director James Clapper of the NSA, speaking on behalf of his and 16 other intelligence agencies, concur by assessment they believe it is Russia. Not one soul from these other agencies is asked to concur with Johnson and Clapper's claim by the media. The CIA and eventually the FBI reconcile their different assessments and validate the narrative. Apparently, FBI Director James Comey owes one to Obama for costing Hillary the election. Not Hillary, Obama. Security experts hired by the DNC, along with college professors, claim the hacking shows similarities to earlier hacking procedures by Russians, while other experts say the Russians, if guilty, would employ tactics that were untraceable. Calls for evidence remain unanswered, but speculation becomes fact because everyone thinks it's the Russians. Joining the cadence are neocons John McCain and Lindsey Graham, again as predictable as they are moronic. House Speaker Paul Ryan agrees since he has to deal with these neocons who are establishment icons. Under immense pressure to produce evidence, Obama demands a report be submitted to him before he leaves office. Meanwhile, Obama puts sanctions on Russia and pulls diplomats out of their capital. Now with the report in hand, amazingly it only took less than 3 weeks, Obama says he has his evidence. And where does it come from? Obama's own people at the DHS. The same DHS that swore the integrity of the elections could not be compromised when they thought Hillary would win and Trump might contest the results. The only real evidence before us is a fabricated narrative designed to deflect blame off of Obama's failed policies and agenda, including his attempts to undermine Israel. It's not even about Hillary. The evidence indicts Obama's tenure, a loss of a total of 1,042 seats across 50 states once held by Democrats are now held by Republicans and other parties. 60 seats lost in the House and the Senate. Democrats now hold only 12 governorships, all in states that are facing bankruptcy in major urban centers. What should be asked by the media is why, with all the failures of Obama, would Putin want Trump when Hillary would better serve his game? Think about that. An even more relevant question is, so what if Russia did it? What does Russia have to do with the UN resolution against Israel? Well, we could ask the question, where is the outrage regarding Obama interfering in the election process in Israel? Something that has been documented. Obama injected $350,000 in cash and dispatched his former campaign chair, Jim Messina, to work to displace Netanyahu. If we want to know the answer to both the reasoning behind the UN resolution and why the hacking issue is of such importance, we need to lay both these issues side by side. Obama never does anything for one simple reason. It is always about his agenda, his image, and his plan to fundamentally transform the United States of America. But my guess, the media will never expose Obama before the return of Jesus or the producing of evidence that supports his claim Vladimir Putin elected Donald Trump, not his failed efforts as America's most famous community organizer. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, Mad Prophet of the Airways, along with Joe, You Can't Handle the Truth, Hakos. And I want to get into this conversation that's going on right now. I thought the Hillary Clinton email debacle was about as bad as it could get. In my mind, I just thought, in terms of how the media is responding, all the collusion with the media and the DNC and the WikiLeaks and everything else, it can't get any worse than this. And here we are. Here we are now with fake allegations based on a fake report to feed a fake narrative. And it's like, and the way that the media is trying to justify it is that they feel an obligation to put it out in the public realm, to let the public make their minds up for themselves. When did the media ever allow the public to make their minds up for themselves? They always tell the public what the public is supposed to think, and that's what this whole false narrative is about, trying to get them to think something other than what is the reality of the situation. What is the reality of the situation? Barack Obama was an abysmal failure. His administration brought this country to the brink of an abyss. And they just will not concede that point, that Donald Trump won because he was not anything in the eyes of the voting public, anything like the very people that have put this country, put the boot on the necks of this country the last 8 years. And he was nothing like the administration before him, or before Obama, or the administration before George W., or the administration before George H.W., okay? He is his own man, to love him or hate him. He is his own man. He says what he thinks. He doesn't sugarcoat it. I don't even think the guy knows how to sugarcoat things, but that's why he's a successful businessman. And when you can sit there and talk to the people that you have to work with and say, this is what I want, and if you're not doing it, you're fired. I don't find anything wrong with that kind of thinking. But here we are here, and here is I don't even have words to express it right now. It's a good thing I'm getting ready to take a short trip here and leave the mic in the hands of Joe, who has a better way of articulating things off the cuff. I'm really going to have to sit around and spend a week or so, the 2 weeks that I'm going to be gone, digesting this and really being able to articulate it back in a way that those of us who really understand the game, we really need to be able to counter this, and we need to be able to counter it hard, because they're coming at us hard. And this is way beyond anything that I've seen in terms of the people involved, the bureaucracies involved, the media involvement. And here is the one case where you see a lot of people on the left that normally are walking point on narratives like this, just kind of hanging back in the background. I find the timing of this extremely interesting in the fact that here we are 1 week away from Barack Obama leaving the White House, and now a new narrative is surfacing that will take up airspace for quite a while here. I mean, this is even overwriting Barack Obama's farewell speech the other night. Boy, I thought for sure that's all we would be hearing about all week, is that the media would just be out there just applauding and lauding the success of our first half-white president, the 8 years that he's been in office, and all the great change that he's brought to America, and all the newly found respect that the world has for us, and everything else. And he's being overshadowed. The confirmation hearings are almost secondary to what's being out there right now. And everything that is front and center in the eyes of the media is all make-believe.
Speaking of make-believe, he gave Joe Biden a Presidential Medal of Freedom today.
Oh, yeah, can you believe? Why would you do that?
Well, Joe needed something to have around his neck. I don't know. And then Biden's up there crying.
Well, have you ever seen the documentary, Joe, the Cocaine Cowboys?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember watching the clips in there? That Joe Biden was the guy who was supposed to be heading up the committee hearings on the drug wars that was going on down in Florida at that time. Even then, he was a doofus.
But it's like, okay, it was just like, it's like, hey, thanks for participating. You get a trophy.
Yeah, because everybody's a hero.
It's like, well, what have you done? I was ready. I had the sound off, right? But I was waiting as he got it, and he turns around and gives Brock a big hug. I'm waiting. I said, "Hey, Joe, is that a big freaking deal too?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I just read the headline on it today. Joe Biden gets a Freedom Medal. Okay, Medal of Freedom award. When you can compare that to some of the other people have gotten, of course, some of the other people have gotten it are also a joke. Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. Okay. For what? Losing weight?
Yeah.
It goes right there with the Nobel Prize for Obama before he ever did a damn thing. And look what he's done. He's taken us and set the Middle East on fire.
Yeah,
he's got a Nobel Prize for a Peace Prize. It's so it tells you just what that's worth. So these people, like I made in our comment here, these people have got to get used. There is a new way. Well, it's not even a new way. We're going back to the way things should be. Right. Like I said, we're not going to have foreign policy just run through the press or the media anymore. I mean, you don't have to tell everybody what you plan on doing.
Yeah.
You should just do it and then let them react to it maybe. Because if you tell them, the people that you're trying to do it to will react to it before you do it, and then you have to do something different, and then you still look like a putz when you're doing it.
Yeah.
So it's time to do things differently. They were going to do things differently, and these people just can't seem to get it through their head.
Well, you know what I was thinking of as you were talking here? It just it just popped up in my brain here. Remember Harry Truman?
Yes.
Remember, wasn't there something one day, something took place, somebody in the media said something about his wife, about her piano playing abilities or something like that? And Truman called the guy out. It's kind of like, I come look me in the face and say that, and I'll punch you out or something like that. I mean, just, that's really how it should be done. Where's it become the accepted protocol that you are to stand in front of people that want to crucify you and you're supposed to be polite to them? That's the pseudo-Christianity stance, turn the other cheek. I'm sorry, no, that's not what is meant by that. Okay? When you're being persecuted for your righteousness, and people come at you, you turn the other cheek because the Bible tells us that you're being persecuted for righteousness' sake. But if somebody is just coming after you and accusing you of things, no substantiation at all, no evidence. In fact, this report that we're going to be talking about in a few moments.
Hey, John, here you go. I just while you were doing it, I looked up this letter that you're talking about that Truman said to a music critic, Washington Post music critic, Paul Hume, in December 6, 1950, he said, "Mr. Hume, I just read your lousy review of Margaret, who was Truman's daughter, by the way. It was Truman's daughter."
Okay, it was the daughter. Okay.
Margaret's concert. I've come to the conclusion that you are an 8-ulcer man on 4-ulcer pay. It seems to me that you're a frustrated old man who wishes he could have been successful. When you write such poppycock as what was in the back section of the paper you worked for, it shows conclusively that you're of the beam and at least 4 of your ulcers are at work. Someday I hope to meet you. When that happens, you'll need a new nose, black eyes, and perhaps a supporter below. Later gutter snipe is a gentleman alongside you. I hope you accept that statement as a worse insult than a reflection on your ancestry, Harry S. Truman. Yeah,
well, the thing is that there's so many presidents. See, Barack Obama didn't have to articulate opposition, to the press corps, even though all throughout his administration he kept trying to convince us that the press was against him, that the press. Yeah. I mean, and they tried to do that with Hillary Clinton in the waning days of her campaign. Oh, it's just the way the media treats her. She's not getting fair treatment. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, if they weren't getting fair treatment, what do you call what they're doing to Donald Trump?
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh,
that's hilarious. Not fair treatment. They didn't. Barack Obama never had to defend himself against the press because no matter how big a failure he was, they were like, "That's great, Mr. President. You keep doing that. That's so awesomeness. You're the best."
Well, the one thing that, and we mentioned it yesterday when Joe had played the clip from the press conference with James Acosta from CNN. This is funny. This is funny because I was listening. I caught Limbaugh this morning. I had to go down to the VA early this morning, and so it was that time frame. I was able to listen to him, and he played a clip back that took place shortly after Barack Obama became president, and he was given a press conference, and he told the media that there were to be no questions, and it was when he announced his immigration plan, DACA. And right away, one of the guys just sat there and said, "You know what? Asked a question out of turn." And the media, the press corps there almost killed the guy. That kind of thing. We'll talk about it when we get back. We got to go to break here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we're back. You know, and I'm itching. I'm biting at the bit here, trying to figure out how to approach this because, I mean, in just the last 45 minutes, while we've been doing the show, all these things are starting to surface here. The narrative, as is the case with everything the left puts out there, starts out with speculation and becomes fact. The whole narrative behind Russian involvement in the U.S. elections started out as speculation. It is still speculation. It's just now being reported as fact because they've got enough people that are willing to stand up and say, it's fact. Well, no, we don't have any substantial evidence. We don't have any proof. We don't have, we can't unequivocally say yes, but we're going to say it anyway because that's what we believe. The idea, the narrative went from somebody hacked the DNC, which we know wasn't a hack. It was an inside job. Somebody leaked something based on the fact that they realized what was going on, collusion within the DNC to bump Bernie Sanders off, and that kind of thing. And it came down to you'll remember just before the election they tried to float out this narrative that Donald Trump had some kind of connection with the Alpha Bank over in Russia, and it was because some computer expert out there said, well, there's a ping, a constant ping coming from some IP address over in Russia that's trying to hit the Trump IP address. And they figured it must be some kind of phishing thing or something. But the point being is that because that is going on, because somebody has access to Donald Trump's IP address, there must be something going on. If that's the case, then Russia must be pinging me, because I'm getting fish all the time, So anyway, but just as we were talking in the first hour here, a report has surfaced here from, let's see where this is from. This is from the Associated Press. Now, I want to let's give you an up-to-date assessment of what is being said out there from the media talking heads. This started a couple days ago, when Jake Tapper on CNN made reference to a dossier, as they call it, to use a foreign term to make it sound more sophisticated, a dossier from a British MI6 operative who apparently took the time to do all this research that nobody else could do or did do. And my understanding is this whole thing really began as within the Republican ranks, that the Republicans, the establishment operatives were looking for some way of killing off Trump. And at some point they gave up on it and just said, this is going nowhere, we're not going to do it, that kind of thing. And then I guess some Democratic operatives picked up on it. And they spent all of last summer, I guess, trying to validate the claims of this quote-unquote dossier that came from an unnamed British intelligence MI6 operative. Nobody to this day, as far as I know, as far as what we've heard, knows who this person is. But if you read the dossier and you compare it to the CIA or the FBI DHS report that was handed over to Obama last week, very strikingly similar, and I hope to have time to get into that a little bit here. But I want to talk about what Joe Biden comes. Oh no, let me backtrack here. What it is that Jake Tapper reported that this dossier existed. That was pretty much the content of what he said, and the reason that they were mentioning it was because somebody had leaked that the CIA had looked at this dossier, or the FBI, or a combination of the two, had looked at this dossier. Now, the dossier was unsubstantiated. There was no validation as to the sources or the truth. But apparently, from Jake Tapper's report, this dossier made its way through the channels of the intelligence agencies. And therefore, Tapper thought it was news to report that this fake dossier, unsubstantiated, unvalidated dossier had made it through the CIA channels, and therefore it was worth reporting. Apparently, that was a tip-off to the website BuzzFeed, who apparently had the report and went ahead and published it under the auspice or the umbrella of, well, we should just put it out there and let the public make their own decision as to whether or not it's valid or not. We don't need the facts if we can get the public to go along with us. Let's get the court of public opinion at least questioning whether or not Donald Trump catered or pandered to perverts with people he was doing business with, hiring prostitutes for business executives and stuff like that, keeping them up in Trump Tower, all this other kind of stuff. When Melania was out of town, I mean, that part of it is just, that's the perverted side of it. But the general allegations made throughout this dossier is that Russia had accumulated information to blackmail Donald Trump, and that would give them the motivation to want Donald Trump in the White House. Okay, that is the narrative that's being floated out there. Not that the Hillary emails probably have already been hacked by every other national entity out there, and that they could be using information with her affiliation with the Clinton Foundation to blackmail her. See, we're trying to replace one narrative with another so that we can do what? We can exonerate Hillary Clinton. We can make her yesterday's news and put the narrative onto somebody else that nobody's looking.
Well, the difference is one we know has already happened with the Uranium One, Ross Adam deal that we had with Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, because we know that's true because it's written down.
Yeah. So there's
documentation for that.
But the American public doesn't need the facts; they need the allegations. See that people in the public should really be offended, and that their intelligence is being insulted to such a degree that they think you'll believe the allegations over those things that have been documented. And the reason why you don't understand what's been documented is because they're not reporting it. So what they do is they report the allegations as fact. Now, so that's the narrative, and that's what Kellyanne Conway and some of the other people working for Trump have been out there trying to counter. You guys gave license to this report, and you gave it an air of authenticity just by mentioning that it existed. And, by the way, you weren't supposed to mention it because whether or not it made it through the hands of the CIA, the FBI, that was supposed to be classified, so somebody leaked it. So then the narrative begins to progress is that, because Donald Trump has disparaged the intelligence community, that they are the ones that leaked it for the purpose of taking Trump down. Remember Chuck Schumer last week talking about the CIA being able to get you any way that they want to.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what's going on here. Donald Trump
disparaging. That's not a reflection on the CIA, is it there, Chucky?
No. So the fact that Trump has attacked the intelligence agencies, the authenticity of their findings, because there is no evidence, it's all allegations and assessments based on allegations and speculation and all the other things. So because Donald Trump has questioned that, now we've got to destroy Donald Trump because he's attacking the intelligence agencies, which are serving the media and the left, serving the left through the media. Okay, so all this is about the fact that Trump is calling out everybody that comes after him, regardless of whether what they're saying is true or not. I think there's been some things reported on Donald Trump that are true, but not to the degree they're talking about here. But the point being is they want you to believe the allegation is the real story, and the things that we have documented, Barack Obama's interference in Israeli elections, his interference in the Britain elections, those kind of things, we want to push those off to the side. We don't want to talk about Hillary's involvement with Uranium One, her pay for play with foreign entities, taking money from countries like Saudi Arabia and some dictatorships, having relationships with people that are violating human rights and stuff like that. Those things have been documented, but we don't want to talk about that. We want to go over here with the fake story so that you'll think that Donald Trump is just the worst human being walking the face of the earth.
Well, like I said in my comment to you, this is what happens when you politicize every department in the government. Every damn department in the Barack Obama administration has been politicized. So why would you believe anything that's coming out of them?
Yeah,
that's what Trump is criticizing the intelligence services for, because they're political hacks anymore.
Yeah. And here, we're seeing here, along with what Joe's saying, we learned today that FBI Director James Comey is now going to be investigated by the Department of Justice. So they didn't want to investigate Hillary Clinton for charges or for allegations that she had compromised classified information or that there was pay for play going on, but they want to now investigate the guy that was supposed to investigate the one that the charges should have been brought against. Okay?
Yeah.
Why?
And the other thing is you got Sessions over there going, well, because I said things about Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail, I'll recuse myself and not do any investigation. So if there's any investigation going to be done, it's going to be done under a special prosecutor, an independent prosecutor. So that way it's fair and above board. But you wouldn't hear that kind of crap out of this current administration whatsoever. Yeah. But Sessions is an evil, racist KKK member.
Yeah. So this is all coming out. Well, anyway, we got to go to a break here. But when we get back here, I want to talk about Joe Biden now and Barack Obama being briefed on this false report about the false narrative that everybody on the left, as far as Obama and Biden, are sitting there going, I think Biden makes a reference to Obama. He says, Obama even asked, what's this even doing here? So what it's doing here, sir, it's helping to preserve your legacy. That's what it's doing. And we're trying to exonerate that Hillary Clinton lost the election because of everything other than the fact she was a lousy candidate and she's corrupt and she's a liar. All right, so we got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them the potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Okay, folks, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk by real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And if you'll just give me just a minute here, I just noticed that a couple of our encoders has shut down on a couple of our websites. I don't know why that's happening, but okay, let's get it back up there, and there we go. Okay, we're back up. Okay, now.
It's the Russians, John. It's
yeah,
the Russians
gotta be
doing
the Russians.
The Russians do everything. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. Look out. Ah!
All right. So this hour-long press conference that Joe Biden held with the Associated Press, I guess that's where this has all come down to. And other news outlets along with the Associated Press. Okay, now, talking about this quote-unquote dossier that apparently came from Western, what they call here, the Western Intelligence Operative. Somebody over in Great Britain, I heard one agency called him a MI6 agent. I guess that's one step below MI7, which was James Bond stuff. Anyway, so as we're looking through this, Biden is saying, he says, it says in the interview, Biden said neither he nor Obama asked U.S. intelligence agencies to try to corroborate. Yeah, right. Okay. Probably, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But he says, I think it's something that obviously the agency thinks they have to track down. It surprised me in that it made it to the point where the agency, the FBI, thought they had to pursue it. And so he's saying basically, how did this even get to this point where the FBI would even want to look at something like this? Well, probably because somebody told them to. He says and here's the comment about Nazi Germany. Joe had shot me this here. I caught this too. He says that Donald Trump invoking Nazi propaganda or living in Nazi Germany is something that you just don't want to do under any circumstances. He said the one thing you never want to invoke is Nazi Germany, no matter what the circumstances. It's an overwhelming diversion from the point you're trying to make, unless, of course, you're talking about Nazi Germany. Okay, if you are trying to invoke Nazi Germany tactics here, which is propaganda, that's what got Hitler to where he was the leader of Germany and a very effective leader up to a certain point, is the fact that he took over the media. There was nothing that didn't go through the media that didn't go through the hands of either him or Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels, right?
And we already know from the leaks that the media is in bed with Obama's administration and the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
We know that. CNN, for sure. Donna Brazile worked for CNN, headed a DNC, the Democrat National Committee, was in bed with them. We had John Podesta inviting all these media types to a little get-together at his residence.
Yeah, and we have the New York Times saying, you know what, you can edit the quotes. You tell us what to write. You've got Katie Couric trying to get a special interview and trying to return favors. I mean, I was watching, I caught like 5 minutes of Hannity last night, just surfing channels. I had 5 minutes to kill, so I flipped over there. And he had a talking point list, this long list of all the things that were found out about the collusion between the DNC and the media. I mean, and the list, it took 4 different graphic pages to cover all these things. And so we know that the media has been colluding with the DNC, and yet they're upset that somebody like Donald Trump would call them out on it. You know, and as Joe was playing that clip last night, I was amazed at how noisy it was. I don't remember ever hearing a press corps in a room with a sitting president that noisy, whether it's Barack Obama or anybody else. No, shouting questions and you know, exclaiming, "Oh, you called our news agency a fraud. You called us fake news. Oh, we deserve something for that. Give us some time. Give us some why? So you can get more fake news. Is that the idea?
Yeah, give us some respect. Give us some respect. Well, you know, you're not giving any respect. In fact, you're not doing your job, and you're not doing your job at all. In fact, you are being propaganda ministers for the Democrat Party. So what do you expect? That's exactly what you're being told. And so it's time to put a stop to this. And Trump put them in their place. And let's hope he continues to put them in their place until these editors get the message. You cannot continue to do this.
Yeah. Now, let me read you a couple of paragraphs here out of this article here. The briefing or the press conference between Associated Press and Joe Biden. It just took place. It says here, Biden said it in a briefing he and Obama received from the Director of National Intelligence, that would be James Clapper. There were no conclusions drawn from the uncorroborated dossier, which was produced in August of last year and then released publicly this week by the media. Biden said it was totally ancillary to the purpose of the meeting, meaning it wasn't conducive to the meeting. It wasn't what the meeting was about.
Yeah, but they briefed it anyway.
Okay. He says, as a matter of fact, the president was like, what does this have to do with anything anyway? This is Biden saying this, right?
Yeah.
He said the intelligence leaders responded by saying, well, we feel obliged to tell you, Mr. President, because you may hear about it. We're going to tell him, referring to Trump. Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty damning evidence that the intelligence agency knew that it was going to reach the public realm.
Yep.
Listen to the words here.
Yeah.
Well, we feel obliged to tell you because you may hear about it. Well, how is he going to hear about it unless it's out there in the public arena?
Well, you may hear about it, and we're going to tell Trump about it. So we're telling you first.
Yeah, we're telling you and that we're going to tell Trump, but you may hear about it, meaning you're going to hear about it, and we don't want to catch you off guard. Nobody cared about catching Donald Trump off guard. Okay, and the report was supposed to be about him. All right, now, he said that Biden said the intelligence leaders told him and Obama that they couldn't say whether or not the allegations were true or untrue. He said there was hardly any discussion about the allegations in the briefing. Neither the president nor I asked for any details. But, he added, I've read everything. All right, now, apparently the FBI is trying to collaborate, and looks like they don't know how long, if they have been trying to collaborate, how long they've been trying to collaborate, or where they're at in their collaboration. So all these things is simply, now again, what the media is just trying to tell us is simply this. We just reported that it was there. Okay, and that clears us of any wrongdoing. Now, the fact that the report has made it to the public realm, that really isn't our responsibility. But since it's out there, let's talk about it now. That's what we're talking about here. So anyway, we're coming up to the end of the show here. We're going to touch on this again tomorrow because the way this is coming about here, by the time we get on the air tomorrow, there's going to be a bunch more stuff here in terms of how the back and forth on the narrative. So we're going to probably spend most of tomorrow, I think, talking about this. But this stuff has to be countered. We can no longer just let it sit idly by and just say, oh, yeah, well, it's fake news, it's lies. Okay. No, we got to come back just as strong saying, you know what? You guys are a bunch of lying, deceitful idiots, morons, liars, cheaters. You know, Evil. Let's call it what it is, evil. We'll talk to you tomorrow, guys. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.